Éire, Ó'Móráin and seo. This could be my first video on the all tiki-taki, but I'll be sharing it. I'll be sharing it in other places too. Let me start by saying I think we're at this very interesting juncture in the kind of human experience, if you like, or in life, in kind of consciousness even, where there's a lot of things happening all at once, where we are at a point in which renewables and say green energy, or kind of energy harvested from nature, or free energy really, we're right at the edge of making that really realistic, and it's going to change, and it has already changed how we live and how we all experience our lives. And we're at a point at which positioning is really important, and if we don't position ourselves well in these next couple of years, where we really could find ourselves in a very difficult position, a very difficult scenario, quite a quagmire, if you like. So we've choices to make that are going to be really important, and I think one of those choices for me is got to be the vote on the 7th of June, in which I am a candidate for Mayor of Limerick. And I'm saying this as a responsibility that I feel I have, and I'm also saying this to any other candidate or anyone else running for election, or anyone else in government, or anyone else who's a member of this society, anyone who's got Éire in their blood, or Gaelic culture. This could be the most important thing that is discussed in the next 7 days. It's 7 days until the 7th of June, and I really urge everyone in the country to really think long and hard about what I want to share here. It's really simple. So I'm on the Shannon. There's a Shannon there. If you look in there, you can see the city. You can see probably a hotel or two, and there's a church over there as well. And when you look over this way, so here's the other end of Shannon, you've got Éire or Clay as you go out that way, agus Cúnta and Clór or Yesh. And what you have over here is you've got the tunnel. So the tunnel starts here and it ends over there. You can't see it here now, but it starts more or less behind those trees and ends over there. And as I said, this is like a wastewater pipe that's eating out wastewater. So if you look over here, this tunnel cost us 660 million to build, and it's cost us a couple of $100 million since then to keep it going. And it also, that's inclusive of paying to go through the tunnel. Now, the tunnel was built in a private-public partnership, which is basically, we as a public, we don't have enough money to pay for the tunnel, and we don't have the expertise maybe to make it work. So we go into a deal with a private company who come along and dig the tunnel, and they know what they're doing, and they make it happen. And part of the deal is, part of this deal was they have ownership over the toll, so the money that goes into the toll is going to the private company. But another part of the deal was that if a certain amount of cars weren't going through the tunnel on, if there wasn't a certain amount of cars going through the tunnel, that the government, or really the people, would have to pay the difference. So we've had to pay the difference of not enough cars going through the tunnel over the last couple of years, to the sum of a couple of million every year. And I mean, this tunnel could end up costing us $1 billion or even more. And to put that into context, okay, so from there to there, right, you could say it's somewhere between 350 to 500 meters. Okay, now if you look at the Mary McAleese Bridge in Ireland, it spans about, I think, 350 meters, and one of the nicest bridges in Ireland. That costs, I don't know, it costs less than 100 million anyway. So a tenth of the price of what we've paid for the tunnel. If you look at the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, it spans almost 3 kilometers long, and it's 6 lanes of cars. That was built a very long time ago, but when you adjust the numbers to today's currency, it costs about $600 million. So you could say, like, in around the same 600 million to build a tunnel. But you know, if we'd built a bridge, there'd be no toll, there'd be no kind of continuous cost. And the reality is that the baggage of this cost on the people, which is us, anyone who pays tax in this country, the baggage is going to sit with us for, you know, at least another 20 years. So this is kind of the potential for the public-private partnership, which is the kind of the topic of this video. So if you look out the Shannon, so if you go further out the Shannon this way, what you'll find is Foynes, and in Foynes, which is Park de Limerick, in Foynes, there's the city there, you can still see the city. In Foynes, off the coast, what they've been talking about doing is building an offshore, a floating wind farm to the tune of 100 billion. So this was a project that is costing us 1 billion, and it's underperforming really. And what they're looking for, this again is a private-public partnership. What they're looking for out in for that offshore wind farm on the mouth of the Shannon is 100 billion of private investment. So it would be another private-public partnership, and they want to set up a national offshore wind agency. And I mean, there's promise, you know, there's promise of 50,000 jobs, you know, there's promise of you know, employment and whatnot. And my concern with something like this is that when that is all set up, when that renewable energy is coming through and it's paid itself off, we'll say. All right. Now you know, the debate about whether wind farms are you know, a proven long-term technology is for a completely different video, so I'm not going to even go there on this. But if they were to set that up, and if they were to make their 100 billion euro back through, you know, the harnessing of energy, free energy from nature, from the Shannon, it's from the wind, but they need to do it on the Shannon to keep it protected, you see. That's why it's on the mouth of the Shannon, because the seas are choppier out on the ocean. But if they were to make their 100 billion euro back, my question is, where does the energy go then? You know, where does who gets access to that energy? And my concern is that if it is a public-private partnership, well, what involvement is the public aspect and what involvement is the private aspect? And who's got decision-making power? Do the public have decision-making power in the same way the private entity has the decision-making power? And what if the private entity was to decide that free energy was to go for profit, was to go to be sold to, say, a data center, or be sold to industry, or to be kept with those that are wealthy? Because we're with the advent of all these developments in technology, we're right at this cusp where the gap, and we've seen this, the gap between the rich and the poor has gotten wider over the last number of years. And if we were to create, if we were to really go big on the renewables and create free energy, and the rich were to be in the position of really harnessing that free energy for themselves, we could very easily find ourselves in an experience, a life, a human civilization in which we've got one group of people in which everything is free, energy is free, and as a result money is free, and another group of people in which everything comes at a cost, in which you got to work for everything. And it creates two completely different experiences of life, two completely different human experiences, two completely different experiences of consciousness, and it creates a divide between the two. And we need to make a choice on this. We need to make a choice as to whether or not that's what we want. And I think I'm one of maybe a few people who can have a say on this, or who can do something concrete on this. And what I'm talking about is that if I was to be elected mayor, vote is on the 7th of June, so next week, I would be writing into proclamation, I would be making proclamation. I would be calling on everyone in Limnach, everyone in every county, up the Shannon all the way up to County Chavan. I call on everyone in Éire, everyone in Ireland, to come together so that we can write the proclamation. And proclamation is just an official statement from somebody who's official. And we would try as best we could to get it written into local law, national law, international law, that any free energy and any energy harvested from the Shannon, either on the Shannon, in the Shannon, from the Shannon, from this day forth, was to be given directly to houses, communities, and the Gaeltacht. And my concern is that if we don't act on this now, and if one of the other candidates were to get into the position of mayor, and I know some of them are in support of this project, and if this project was to go ahead, that it would be the complete opening up of the Shannon to be used for profit, and it would be a gap between the rich and the poor that at the moment seems insurmountable and would become even more insurmountable in this country. So my proposal is really that we become the guardians of the Shannon, we become the caretakers of the Shannon, and that includes the pipeline that they want to build to Dublin. They want to drain the water from the Shannon to pump it over to Dublin because they can't figure out how to get clean water to houses in Dublin. So this will be a project in which everyone in Éire and all the counties, all the way up the river from the Foinse, Nahown, Goodee, on Bale, Nahown, the source to the mouth of the river, we would all be custodians of the Shannon. And if there was any, if you were concerned that, oh well, we're missing an opportunity to, get renewable energy from the Shannon and we need to, keep up with the times, what I would say to you is that we can invite people, we can invite everyone who thinks that they can develop renewable energy with the use of the Shannon on a small scale, in which we can afford, and who are on board with the plan to direct it to houses, communities, and the Gaeltacht. We gotta remember the Gaeltacht, guys. The Gaeltacht is our ancestors. The Gaeltacht is also our descendants. We are the Gaels. So we can invite those people here, and we can do it ourselves. You know, there's a mayor budget there. There's money to be spent at the mayor's discretion, and if this is what people would want, we can invest in that, and we can go big in it, really big in it. And we can bring people here who've got ideas on how to really harness the energy from nature in a small way that we can do publicly, you know, without the private entity involved. It's things of this nature are very hard to understand. They're very hard to tangentialize. They're very hard to make tangible. So to try and make this tangible, what I would say to you is that if we can get this right, I'm not saying now, or I'm not saying anytime soon, but what I'm saying is in the long term, when we get this right, which is the renewable energy side of things, we have an opportunity to have free electricity or free energy in houses, communities, and the Gaeltacht. That's an opportunity that's there waiting for us, and it'll be there, it'll come. Now the question is to whether it goes to housing community or the Gaeltacht, or whether it goes to industry, whether it goes to the likes of the data center, or whether it goes to profiteering. So that is the choice that we are making right now. We're making a choice between the house, the community, and the Gaeltacht, or the private entity, the profiteer, the industry. And I'm, you know, in a way, I'm offering myself up for this position to deliver things like this, because I cannot see anything more important in my life right now than to try and assure us, try and get us all together here now on the same page, so that we can assure each other that we won't let things like this happen. Because the ramifications for our children, our children's children, our children's children's children are things that we just cannot understand. They're things that we can't even imagine. So I hope this message finds you well. It's Friday, and I'm heading to Kilfinnan for the Fleadh. No better way to spend my last weekend before rolling into the final week before the election for the mayor of Limerick. I'll be there with my Ó'Móráin. If you see me and you want to have a chat, please come over, say hello, and Gurv Mila Mahagut. Sláinte.